This is Kits and Wagers. I'm Adam Zdroik, joined by Chris Owen to talk Game Week 14 in the Premier League. Chris, you spatchcock your turkey over the weekend. You had a successful Thanksgiving, and we're back with a ton of matches. You know, it's like we just got a holiday from, you probably got a few days off of work. I didn't really get any days off of work because, of the Premier League and everything that's going on. But you probably got a couple days off of work. But now we're back. We got Champions League. We got weekend matches. Game week 15 starts Tuesday. So we're going to have to do a show Monday. There's just no breaks here. No breaks. Even though you think you got a nice little Thanksgiving break. But really, we're just back in the real world right now.
Yeah, Adam, good to be back. The problem with the days off is you're always trying to pack way more in on a day off than you have a routine when you're during your normal days of work where you're like, all right, wake up, go to work, make some dinner after, relax. When you got a day off, you're like, all right, I'm going to pack as much as the fun stuff into that day as I possibly can. And then by the time those days are over, you're like, oh, I'm more exhausted than I would be normally. So that's kind of how I felt. Ended the long weekend with a Sounders loss to LAFC on Sunday night. So that added a little bit of extra fatigue heading into Monday.
Condolences.
Yeah. So we're back. We got a big weekend. A bunch of fun matches this weekend between lower tier sides. We've got City Tottenham. I think Chelsea Brighton is a really interesting one. A couple other, then we're gonna get into Sheffield Burnley as well. But very excited to talk this weekend. Of course, we had European play the past few days with European, Champions League, Europa League, all that good stuff. So a lot of teams in play. I haven't, we'll go as we always do. We'll get into the injury situation if there's going to be any affecting the matches. But yeah, really excited to discuss it once more. And in the spatchcock turkey on the smoker, 10 out of 10, and I don't even like turkey, so
10 out of 10.
Yeah,
nice.
As I mentioned to Adam pre-show, but turned it into a little soup, a little pasta kind of tetrazzini dish. So big weekend in the kitchen.
Big weekend in the kitchen. That's what we're here. Kitchen. We're cooking up bets, baking up bets. That's what we do here. Kits and Wagers.
Kitchens and Wagers.
I just pulled up the stats for that Seattle Sounders match. I bet it. I think if I remember correctly, I took under 2.5 goals and Seattle Sounders double chance. So it lost. But this comes to my corners bets and why I take corners, why I should have taken corners. They finished with 10 corners in that match. LAFC had 2 corners. They had 3 corners in the first half. LAFC had 0. So this is kind of like even like the Everton game against Manchester United. It's like, okay, this team's at home. You think they're probably going to have more of the ball, maybe more of the possession. Maybe they're just not going to convert their chances. So maybe we're going to take corners as like kind of a safety bet kind of thing. And that's kind of what happened there. Bowanga, one of who's been, I don't know if he leads the league in goals, but he's up there in goals in MLS. He got a goal early, and then Seattle just couldn't find that equalizer. Unfortunate for them. But we got Premier League here. We're talking Premier League. We're talking game week 14. We also got a bunch of other stuff on the site, as you can see. We got Bundesliga bets. We have a Bundesliga article written by our guy, Ethan Sexton. He's got, I think, 3 bets in there for Bundesliga. If you're into Bundesliga betting, check that one out. We also got, did a video going over lineups, FPL rankings, Fantrax rankings, waiver wire pickups, all that good stuff. There's also another feature here. I'll be getting into it later. Just came out today, so I don't want to talk about too much here. So rotowire.com/soccer trial to get all of that content, though some of it is free, and Premier League. So it's a busy week of good matchups, and we've talked a lot about Arsenal. We've talked a lot about Manchester City. Talked a lot about Liverpool. So we're throwing those teams to the side, and we always like talking about relegation battles. And these two teams played each other a couple times last season. They came up in the championship. You got Burnley home against Sheffield United. Burnley, so I'm looking at these odds. I'm just trying to figure out what happened, because when I pulled up these odds yesterday, Burnley was like -105, but apparently they were according to the line movement on the site, it was minus 105 like a week ago. I could have sworn I looked yesterday and they were minus 105 to win this game. I don't know. Maybe it was just like a weird number I was looking at. Either way, currently we're at Burnley minus 120 to win, Sheffield United plus 340. The draw is plus 270, over 2.5 goals, minus 105, under 2.5 goals, minus 120. I don't think there's any really relevant injury news. What Sheffield United got back Ali McBurney last week, and he did he score? He got a goal.
I think he scored did he score the late one? To make it 3-1, so I lost my bet.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Our last two shows, I think it was we've mentioned something about McBurney on Twitter, Neil Maupay on Twitter.
Yeah.
Both those guys scored, and you're kind of ripping on the Twitter theory of those guys. Those guys get a shout by the Twitter admin.
The Twitter theory.
Is that Twitter theory?
Adam saw a tweet from the club promoting one of their players, and then it's like, we got it. Anytime goal scored odds, let's rip that.
Well, that's like the Twitter admin. He's watching training. He's like, "Oh, let's get a picture of this guy. He's looked awesome. He's hitting goals in training, so he's gonna hit one in the game. So he's posting pictures of the guys. That's how it works, right?"
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I'm hoping that you have one of the Twitter 3 picks here ready to go this week, because we got to keep the streak going.
I don't know if I do, but Burnley minus 120. Both these teams, bottom of the table here. And the interesting thing when I looked at last season, Sheffield United actually had the edge a little bit through their 2 matches, which kind of surprised me, because Burnley, I don't know, I can't remember exactly how much they won the league by, but I feel like it was 10 plus points they won the championship by. But they lost 5-2 at Sheffield United, and the one before that, they won 2-0, but they also Sheffield United got a red card in the 17th minute. So Burnley still only managed 2-0 with goals in the 60th and 70th. So that kind of leads me to believe that, Sheffield United played them pretty well, even down a man. So are you taking anything into those games coming here, because it is the same managers, a lot of the same players? Advantage Burnley or advantage Sheffield United?
I'm so glad we're talking about this match. It is like, you got to really love the league, I think, to love this game. You were right though. Burnley won by 10 points last year in the championship, 101 points. Sheffield United had 91, so a pretty large advantage. Sheffield United, as you mentioned, performed well against them. For this particular matchup, it's like something has to give. Burnley, Owen, they haven't taken a point at home. They've lost all 7 matches at home. Meanwhile, Sheffield United, equally bad away from home. They have, I think they've taken up 1 single point away from home. They have a draw. They have 5 losses. They've scored 4 goals away from home and conceded 15. For Burnley, it's as ugly at home, where they've scored 5 goals and conceded 20. So you look at the goals again, and like, neither team has been able to score, but they're giving up a ton of goals. So is it going to be a ton of goals? Is it going to be no goals at all? And so for me, I think it's going to be, I think we're going to get the over goals. Like, Burnley hasn't been able to stop a nosebleed at home. 20 goals on your own turf. That's not good. Not good at all. So I'm taking the over 2.5 at minus 120.
No, you're taking both teams to score.
Okay. Good clarification. Adam and I sent our bets in early. Little confusion around our Slacks back and forth. One of our bets might be over. One of our bets might be both teams to score. So clear lines of communication were missed. And perhaps it was probably on my part there, but I'm taking both teams to score here, which is essentially, which is as good as it's about the same thing. So we're pretty lockstep, which I love, personally I love, especially if it hits, but I'm on both teams to score at minus 125. I mentioned the goals against, neither team, it's not like Burnley can play an attacking style, and it's not like Sheffield's great defensively. I feel like we're going to get some goals out of this, and obviously you feel pretty similarly.
Yeah, last season's results kind of threw me off. In terms of the bets, I put all my bets down. I think it was this morning at some point, and Chris just sent me his before the show. The first two of the games we're talking about, we had the same bets. So great minds think alike. / our minds are melding together the more we do
Groupthink.
this show. Yeah, group think a little bit here. So, but we did change them, so we aren't giving out the same bets. But as I was saying, last season's results kind of threw me off. I was going to go into this one thinking, okay, Burnley are at home, and this is considered, one of the easiest matchups of the season. They like to possess the ball more. I was going to be heavier on them. Then I'm looking at these matchups, and I have often said this season, okay, Burnley probably have a worse team than they did last season. While Sheffield United, they lost in Dye. I think they're probably at about the same level. It's mostly the same guys for Sheffield United, whereas Burnley lost their leading goal scorer in Nathan Tella, who was playing on loan. So I looked at this game at Sheffield United. I know it was at Sheffield United, but they gave up 28 shots. They gave up 5 goals, 4.41 expected goals. And these teams are playing based the same managers. They're playing the same formations that they've been playing this season. So that's just like a worrying number if I was going to come in and take Burnley to win here, given how they've played. I don't really care how Sheffield United played this season because it's not like Burnley have played well either. So instead, Chris did mention the over 2.5 goals. I actually found a different route because Burnley are at home. Instead of taking either side to win here, I wanted to get a few more dollars in your pocket. So I got a single game parlay with Burnley double chance and over 2.5 goals at plus 125. So at over 2.5 goals, I think, what we say, minus 105. So it's just another, whatever you want to call it, a few more dollars. It's minus 105 is the over 2.5 goals. So as long as you're not worried about Sheffield United win this match away from home, I think the Burnley double chance here, just adding a little more to it. And if you just want to back what happened last season, what I was just saying, maybe you go Sheffield United double chance with over 2.5 goals. That one seems a little riskier, and it is. That one's probably, I didn't put it in, but that one's probably over plus 200 because Burnley are minus 120 to win. So do you, who has the edge here? I mean, I know Burnley are minus 120, but it's not like either team is playing well. So I'm not sure what those odds are based on. Are they based on, preseason hype of Burnley being thought to be a top half team almost, or is it? I don't know what it's based on because neither one of these teams is playing well.
It's kind of baffling because yes, Burnley was a better team last year, but by no means are they. I mean, what is it? A point separates them in the table.
Yeah, they're down there.
Yeah, a point. They're on 4. I mean, Burnley's on 4 points. Sheffield United's on 5. Both, Burnley has not won at home. Sheffield United has not won away. They're both giving up a ton of goals. They both can't score. Like, why is Burnley favored? I mean, it is playing at home, but it doesn't make sense. It could easily be like a plus 130 or plus 140, and I feel like that would make a little bit more sense than what it's at.
Yeah. Just I don't know. I don't know who wants to take that number. I guess you're also throwing in what Sheffield United just had they were at home against Bournemouth and looked very bad.
Pretty brutal.
Yeah, they were down 3-0, and as Chris knows well, the McBurney, I think it was a stoppage time goal last few seconds there.
It was.
So you throw that in there, but it's not like Burnley are getting results either. So kind of strange that it's minus 120, but either way, that's where we're at with that. Next game we're talking about, biggest game we're talking about probably in terms of the standings at least. We have Newcastle, our home, against Manchester United. Newcastle are minus 105 to win. Manchester United plus 285. You get the draw at plus 275. Over 2.5 goals is minus 140. Under 2.5 goals is plus 110. Newcastle, I don't know if I want to say bounce back spot here after what happened in Champions League, but they kind of got screwed out of a handball, and Mbappe had a PK to take away 3 points from Newcastle, a valuable 3 points it would have been to get their advancement there in Champions League. But Newcastle's coming off of that. Manchester United, they're coming off a wild match against Galatasaray. It was played on a wet pitch. Højlund returned from his injury in that one. They went up 2-0, and then it was 2-1, and then 3-1, and then I think it got to 3-3, if I remember correctly. Chelsea's everyone's favorite Chelsea player, Hakim Ziyech, was kind of the difference maker there for Galatasaray. But both teams coming off disappointing results midweek here, but Newcastle at home. So last week, Chris, we didn't talk about it. It was in my article. I took under 2.5 goals between Newcastle and Chelsea. And after the match, I was like, well, Newcastle at home. Why didn't I just say, I don't care about some of these injuries. I'm just going to take them on the money line. And I guess I'll lead it to you here because we're kind of in. Again, we had the same bets for this one, and your backup bet was the bet I took last week for Newcastle Chelsea. So, how do you think this one's going to go?
Am I going to go 2 for 2 and say the wrong bet that we both had? I took Newcastle money line here just to get that out of the way. Is that the right bet? No, I'm on the under. Okay. I write I write a variety of bets when we and then I send my top one to Adam, and then if I got a backup bet that we turn to that. But yeah, boys are lack of communication. Maybe we're unorganized. It's definitely on my end here, not Adam's. But I'm on the under the 2.5, and Adam is probably on a money line bet. But like looking back to last season here, I mean, earlier this season they played in the League Cup, which I consider it to be, it's just like a different competition. It's tough to take. You can take those results and think about them with that lens, but I always just try to kind of like think about the Premier League results. So last year, the same fixture they played in April, it was 2-0. They also played in October. That was at Old Trafford. That was 0-0 the year before. It was 1-1 in the same fixture. So some low scoring affairs. The one at Old Trafford, though, in 2021 was 4-1. So a little bit more goals there. But I think just the way that we see Newcastle play, I think they've won, is it 5 straight at home now, where they've been really good. The only game they've lost this season was that game where they were up a man on Liverpool and Liverpool just came back. Otherwise, aside from that, they've been super strong at home, I think. And then you look at their home defense record as well, and they've given up the second most amount of goals at home, tied with Manchester City, just below Liverpool. Newcastle's given up 4 along with City, and Liverpool's given up 2. So the teams that you expect to see really strong defensively at home, and Newcastle's it. United's has their own issues, and most of them are defensive, I feel like. But I think that they are going to have a tough time, even despite all some of the injuries that are facing Newcastle. They still have a really strong system. They still have some of the players that matter back there, and it's not like it's been a huge step down in terms of quality for like Jamal Lascelles is still pretty solid. They got Fabian Schär back there. Trippier is still back there. Lewis Hall at left back. It's not like it's a huge step down from, I believe is it Botman, who's normally in the starting 11 there.
Yeah.
They're missing Dan Burn, who would typically start there. So like they still have some quality in there and to stay organized. And I don't think anyone's like, I deeply fear the Manchester United attack. So I really, really feel pretty strongly about the under here. It's minus 105, by the way.
Yes, minus 105 on the under 2.5 goals. That would have been my bet, but because it just got me last week against Chelsea, I did not take it off that precedent. So in that game against Chelsea managed 7 shots, Newcastle managed 14 shots, and the worry you have with these Newcastle home matches, I think we saw it in the game against Sheffield United. I want to say I had this was a couple months ago. I want to say I had like under 3.5 goals or something, single game parlay with Newcastle money line, and whatever, they had 5 goals in the first half, or they finished with 8. So just the worry with these Newcastle home matches, it just seems like they can score in bunches and against everyone basically. So that is the worry with that. But I do agree with it. Like, they allowed 7 shots against Chelsea. And I think that, this Manchester United team, it's not like they're playing great offensively. I know they have what is the record? They've won 5 straight league matches, something like that. I think Eric Ten Hag's up for manager of the month, kind of a thing. It's like, well, okay. I mean, but it's not because they're scoring a ton of goals or anything. Like they had a game against Everton where I guess Garnacho had one of the goals of the season. And then that game kind of got off the rails a little bit. 1-0 against Luton Town, 1-0 against Fulham, kind of a thing where they scored late. It's not like they're playing that well. So I think this is, I don't know if you probably can't make this bet anywhere, but if you can bet like Manchester United under shots, I would take that. Like, I think it's in range that Manchester United don't get more than 10 shots. So that's kind of why I would agree with this under 2.5 goals. But instead, I am going with Newcastle money line at minus 105. Simple as they're at home. They've been awesome at home. And while they have a ton of injuries, they still have a solid first starting 11 here. Lewis Miley, 18-year-old, has come in, and it hasn't really made a difference for them. Alexander Isak is back from his injury. He started the last couple matches. If you remember correctly, he was the main absence in the match at Bournemouth before the break where they lost 2-0. They just couldn't really get anything back, couldn't really get anything working. Isak's back. Their offense looks better. He scored a pretty nice goal against PSG. So now that Isak's back, they're at home. I'll take them on the money line at minus 105. So what do you think? Maybe just a single game parlay. Newcastle money line under 2.5 goals.
I think that would be a good bet.
Maybe make it safer and do just like, I don't know, Newcastle double chance under 3.5 goals. If you want like a really safe bet.
Yeah, I was just gonna say anytime you're trying to make the numbers make sense on the parlay, but still do something safe. That's a good one to check out.
Those odds are minus 125, so it's not terrible.
Yeah.
So,
and it's tough to see a game where United goes into St. James Park and pulls out
a win,
3 points. Yeah.
Yeah. If that does happen, it would be 1-0. That's just how they're playing, like the 1-0 against Fulham, 1-0 against Luton Town kind of thing. So, either way, the under. I like the under, and I do like Newcastle money line as well. Next game we got. This one is on Sunday. We got, I think it's 5 games Saturday, 5 games Sunday. So nice even split for the weekend. We're talking West Ham are home against Crystal Palace. And this one is interesting. West Ham are plus 100 to win. Those odds haven't changed really. Crystal Palace are plus 280. The draw is plus 255. And not going to be expecting too many goals here, but over 2.5 goals is plus 100. Under 2.5 goals is minus 120. And I just pulled up. West Ham just played today. They won 1-0 against Baka Tapala. I guess I don't even know. They're Serbian club. So West Ham are playing in Serbia, where Tomas Suchek scored for his 5th straight competitive match. Something I don't think I've ever thought I'd say. But the big news for Crystal Palace, I guess West Ham also has some big news. So we don't know the status of Jared Bowen. He didn't travel for this game in Serbia. He missed the game last week, but I have seen reports where his knee injury isn't overly serious, and there is a chance he could be ready for this. If he's not ready, Danny Ings started in the last game for them at Burnley. So something to keep an eye on there. But Eberechi Eze will be out for Crystal Palace. The good news for Crystal Palace is that Michael Olise came back. He went 90-plus minutes in his first match of the season, which was pretty incredible after 5 months out with a hamstring injury. So that's the big news for each of these teams. West Ham are at home. What do you think? West Ham plus 100. Does the possible absence of Bowen take you away from maybe thinking West Ham win, or do you think it doesn't matter too much? You just like maybe West Ham to win no matter what?
Yeah, two things here. A Bowen absence would probably make me move off my money line bet that I'm on, and then the other part of that is that the absence of Eze here for Palace is a huge absence. Like, let's not get it twisted. He's probably there. If it's not Elise, he's probably their best player, I'd say. So that's a huge absence. And that's kind of why I'm like, West Ham at home, money line. I think it's, what did I see at plus 100? Plus 100. That's kind of where I'm at. I think they're pretty strong at home. But yeah, Jared Bowen misses out. It probably moves me to a different bet. I will say that. But yeah, back to Elise though. I think he played prior to the international break. He subbed on for about 10 minutes, and then he got two full weeks of training most likely, and then he comes back at 90 minutes, absolutely lights it up last weekend. The goal that he scored was if it wasn't Garnacho's goal against Everton, it had to be that goal for the best goal of the weekend. It was electric. He just like takes the ball down the right wing, drills past a couple guys, curls it in from the corner of the 18. Essentially, it was disgusting. But yeah, he's a really so. Anyways, all in all, yes, I'm on West Ham at home, plus 100. I like them on a money line bet. This is my second money line bet of the of today's show, but I think that's just how that's the best way to go. They've won 3 at home.
Technically, it's your first.
Oh right. My brain is absolutely fried right now. Yeah, technically it's my first, but it's my fourth one I thought about for the day. So yeah, they're at home. They've won 3. They've drawn 1. They've lost 2. So
do you have a backup bet in case Bowen doesn't start? You said you may.
I got a backup bet after you okay. Give your bet. I don't want to jump on there.
Sure thing. I'm gonna hit one of these bets at some point this season against West Ham. I had Burnley last week, race to 5 corners against West Ham. Burnley were at home, watching the corners throughout the entire match. Burnley were up on corners the entire time. They scored 60-something minute. They were up 4-2 in corners. So Burnley up 1-0. West Ham, the final 30 minutes, they got a push. Turns out Burnley don't get another corner. Turns out West Ham finished with 5 corners. Burnley finished with 4 corners. I think I've done it before the season in a race to 5 corners against West Ham. I'm going to hit one of these. It's going to happen at some point, and why not today? Why not in this match? Why not in Sunday's match? Crystal Palace race to 5 corners plus 255. This is just simply a simple bet on West Ham, a team that doesn't like to possess the ball, and a team that's just not going to rack up a ton of corners early in the match because they're not going to be in the attacking third that much, because this is a team that likes to play off the counter. You throw Jared Bowen out, possibly being out, maybe not being 100% healthy. That's not going to help with getting corners either. Then you throw in Michael Elise. I know Eze is out, but Michael Elise, I came on to a random stat in our FPL cheat sheet, rotowire.com/soccer trial. Michael Elise, after I guess his 2 matches and his 1 start, he's drawing, I think it's the most, or he's winning the most corners per 90 minutes of any player in the league. Kind of a random stat, probably doesn't mean anything. I think he's won 3+ corners or something per 90 minutes, whatever that stat is. But either way, I just think you're getting good value here with Crystal Palace race to 5 corners plus 255. I think these teams should be level in terms of getting corners, and we're getting plus 255 on it. I got screwed last week out of my Burnley pick, so I'm going to go back to it. I know I didn't go back with my under 2.5 with the Newcastle match. I'm going back to this one because I don't have faith in West Ham corners. They're just in Serbia. They're going to be tired. Crystal Palace, Roy Hodgson, bounce back, plus 255. We're getting some money. Let's do it, Chris.
Plus 255. You'd love to see it. Big time bet here, but I makes sense. I think this podcast in particular is a big Michael Elise fan. I think
everyone is.
He's a stud. Yeah, I mean, you look back at some of their, and for a backup bet here, since I should probably give one given the Bowen thing, the over 2.5 is like, I would smash that a little bit. I mean, Eze being gone is a little concerning. Bowen perhaps gone, a little concerning there. But you look at all right, so last season, 4-3 at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace won that. At West Ham, Palace won that one 2-1. The year before, it was West Ham at Selhurst Park 3-2, 2-2 draw at West Ham. And then even the season before, 3-2. Like, they're just racking up goals in these matchups. And it's not like, I mean, they have some solid players, but like last year, it's like Ayew, Zaha, Schlupp, Eze, Elise, they're like all over the place. So a lot of goals.
I would say, I don't know if I've even bet over-unders on Crystal Palace this season. I personally would stay away from betting Roy Hodgson over-unders because there there are games, maybe one every 3, one every 4 games, where this Roy Hodgson team just like turns the match into dirt and nothing happens. It's just like extremely defensive. Both teams struggle to reach 10 shots, kind of a thing. And then you have these other games that pop off like nothing. They had the 3-2 game against Wolves. And I think we even talked about, maybe we talked about the Crystal Palace Everton game. Maybe one of us took under 2.5 or something in that game. That one finished 3-2. So that's one thing I'll say about Roy Hodgson games is I try to stay away from goals because you don't know when he's going to decide that he just wants to make things really ugly. So that's my word.
You get a Michael Elise goal at a plus 550 anytime goal scoring odds.
Take it. Michael Elise plus 550. We got the team parlay here. So the team parlay is probably the most successful thing on our show right now because I think we've hit 2 straight. It's only been 2 straight, something like that. I think I've hit 4 in a row, 4 of my last 5, something like that. You've hit your last 2 at least because we've hit our last 2, but we're getting there in terms of money on the team parlay. I'm 5-7-1, and you're 5-8. Looking at the records, and those records were pretty bad early on. So good to see that we're getting back here. So you're talking about Aston Villa, who played today. I think they won 2-1 today. They were at home, so no extra traveling for them. They're at Bournemouth, who had the win against Sheffield United in their last match, but. What do you think about this one? Aston Villa at Bournemouth.
Yeah, so Aston Villa with a very impressive win. They went in. I mean, Tottenham side certainly dealing with some injuries, but they went into Tottenham Stadium last weekend and came away with a 2-1 win. Pretty convincing stuff. Prior to that, they had been at home. In the Europa League, they've been good too. They won at home today against Legia Warsaw, and then their previous match. So it's been interesting. I just like the momentum they have going. I think, are they in 4th place right now or crawling up the table there? So
they're crawling 4th. They're above Tottenham now.
Yeah. So a huge win for them last weekend. They show that they can win on the road. They've been, if not this game is on the road, but at home, they've been one of the best teams there. I think they kind of, took the lid off the can per se, and they can, continue this run of form away from home. I think, the plus 100, I was surprised to see that given they're playing at Bournemouth. Bournemouth, decent at home for sure, but, they had beaten Newcastle previously and Burnley 2-1 and 2-0. But prior to that, they had lost at home 2-1. They got smoked by Arsenal 4-0. They lost, even before that, it was 0-0 to Chelsea. So it's been a bit of a mixed bag for them at home. I think that lends to a hand to a team that's very much in form in Aston Villa and can win away from home. I like the plus 100 for the parlay. It certainly helps boost those numbers. Not sure what you've got, but I think we go for a 3rd straight here.
So you said Aston Villa are 4th in the table. They are tied on points with your Liverpool team. And conveniently, I have a Liverpool bet here. So
wow.
You've given something similar. I know we've talked about Liverpool and clean sheets and playing at home. They've been awesome at home this season. So they're minus 390 to win. And instead of obviously taking minus 390 to win, I got Liverpool money line. This is a single game parlay. So I guess it's what DraftKings will call it an SGPX. So I have a single game parlay, and then you're also parlaying that with Chris's Aston Villa to win at plus 100. So the single game parlay is Liverpool money line, no on both teams to score is plus 115. That's just, okay, Liverpool win to 0, win with a clean sheet, and plus 115. So Liverpool has just been awesome this season at home. They've allowed 11 goals in total, which is, I think, the 2nd best mark in the league. Arsenal are currently top with 10 goals allowed. But Liverpool have allowed just 11 goals. They're getting healthier outside of Andrew Robertson, I guess. But I think they had another clean sheet today, 4-0. I want to see in Europa League, another home clean sheet. They're just playing well at home. And Fulham, I guess I should mention Fulham here. So Fulham, I know they've scored some goals in recent games, but just really hasn't been there consistently. Raul Jimenez scored a random goal, I think, a couple games ago. I still don't think they've actually figured things out. They won 3-2 against Wolverhampton on Monday, and two of their goals
Two
came from
penalties.
PKs. One was maybe both were questionable PKs. One was definitely getting roasted throughout Twitter. So the SGP single game parlay, Liverpool money line with no on both teams to score at plus 115. You're parlaying that with Aston Villa to win at plus 100. We're getting plus 330 odds to win. And Chris, if this hits, guess what? The team parlay is going to be up $6.
That would be so amazing. We've been battling. We've absolutely been battling. Started the season out ice cold. I'll say it.
I think we missed like the first 5.
Yeah, and now we've been a little hitter. We've been hot the last couple of weeks. We're kind of pulling it together, and it would be really big for us if we could pass up on that, get some couple bucks in our back pocket now.
Couple bucks in the back pocket. We know Liverpool is going to win, right? We know Liverpool is going to win. We just got to rely on.
I'll put that juju out here.
We just got to rely on Aston Villa here. I guess technically, and we have to rely on Raul Jimenez to not score. Is what we're banking on here.
One other note is that you mentioned that there's 5 games on Saturday, 5 games on Sunday. And last week we had the City Liverpool game at 12:30 GMT and 4:30 out here on the West Coast. Why could we not move that game? I mean, back to like the format that they have this weekend, but we have this weekend where we're like, all right, we don't need to put. They're like, no, we need
no one's in
the Sheffield United in that main slate on Saturday instead of like putting that absolute battle and do like the 12:30 local game. I don't get it. There's something I don't know, I think, but I don't understand that completely.
Yeah, it's got to be something related to TV rights, something related to that, where some weeks they're obligated to put a game in that slot, I guess, and this week they're not, something like that. I don't know. Yeah, it is kind of weird that sometimes it's okay. There's these 3 slots. This Newcastle Manchester United one is going to be actually. I might even like this Newcastle money line even more here, as it's what is this 9? I think it's 9 p.m. Local time for that game, so it's going to be rowdy there at St. James's Park. That's going to be a fun one between Newcastle and Manchester United. But I'm just looking at the schedule here at rotowire.com/soccer trial. Checking out the odds. Liverpool are the biggest favorite, and they have the highest implied goal total at 2.44. Anytime goal scorer odds, Erling Haaland is still minus 200. But actually, I mentioned schedule, so I'm just going to get this out of the way here. We just got a new feature up on the site, and let me pull it up here. It just came out today. Did not have this ready, but check this out, Chris. We have this is the next 10 game weeks, and opponents are ranked. You can rank opponents by their overall season ranking in the table, their last 6 matches, how many goals they've allowed, how many goals they've scored. You can rank them by each. We got these for all the leagues we cover. And then we also have like this simple, not really a high-tech algorithm, but just given points. So there's all these colors here that you can see in the legend. So dark green means easy matches. Dark red means difficult matches. So we're assigning points, 0 points for these dark red, 5 points for the dark green. And if you look at this, if you play FPL or any kind of fantasy, Burnley have the most favorable schedule over the next 5 game weeks. So just a nice little tool that we just put up today. So I'm showing this to the public for the first time here. So Chris, check this one out. Manchester City have the most difficult schedule, but they also have in game week 18, they had that match postponed against Brentford because I believe it's something to do with the Club World Cup going on. But what do you think, Chris?
That's really cool. Super good feature for FPL and or Fantrax, because like you're always like, all right, I'm going to pick up this defender who's going to, for instance, like I probably wouldn't pick up a Burnley defender, but you might pick up like after this week, you might go in and try to pick up like a Wolverhampton defender because they have a couple good matchups after that. So yeah.
I clicked on defense. So defense, the most favorable matchups for these teams defensively. So this would be Liverpool defensively, look at this. Fulham, Sheffield United, Crystal Palace. That's why they're top of the list here of most favorable matchups for defenders, for defenses in the next 5 game weeks. So
Very
just a
cool.
pretty cool thing here.
Yeah.
Burnley not as high up on this one.
Yeah, that's fair. But I mean, it depends if you're in draft or if you're in like proper FPL. But so a lot of those defenders might not be available, but you can find value on some of those teams that have, if you're in a draft concept, that where they're cheaper too. So yeah, really, really, really cool feature.
Yeah, it's currently free, but maybe it won't be. Maybe it won't be at some point. But either way, rotowire.com/soccer trial. Chris, we got no Thanksgiving to talk about. We actually just need a break. We need to get these matches over with so we can come back Monday and talk about some more games. But we're gonna be back on Monday talking about game week 15. Good luck on your bets, Chris. Enjoy the weekend. Get some rest. I'll try and get some rest so I'm ready on Monday to turn over this league into game week 15, but we'll be back at some point. Thank you for watching. Make sure to give a thumbs up on our YouTube video or like our podcast as well. You can find Chris at CHROwen8 on Twitter. I am at RotoZdroik. Thank you, Chris. We'll see everyone later. Good luck on your bets.